McDonald's French fries go from delicious to inedible in 10 minutes then stay exactly the same for eternity. Relevant quote from Viggo Mortensen: the McDonald's French fry is unbelievable. When you bite into it, you think it's so tasty, it can't be real. As soon as it gets cold, it turns to lard and flubble. I mean, have you ever tried to eat a McDonald's French fry that's gone cold? That's one of the circles of hell. The gulf between the warm, fresh, lightly salted McDonald's French fry and the cold McDonald's French fry is as great a gulf as any I know. After years of complaining about this and trying various things, I discovered that it can be made tasty again by heating it in an air fryer on low heat 100 degrees Celsius. Or as an economist mathematician might say, it's represented by a unimodal edibility curve that asymptotes at some non-negative edibility value as time approaches infinity. No one in movies or video games has any health issue unless it's important to the plot. Yeah, but health issues in real life are sometimes important to the plot. What about Furiosa in Mad Max? They never even really mention it. GTA V's Lester Crest suffers from a debilitating wasting disease, and it serves no real function plot-wise. You can catch a cold in MGS2 whenever you want on the tanker chapter by walking out into the rain and staying there for too long. Often the thought of getting fast food is far superior to actually getting it. Very relatable. Got a burger and some fries for €15 earlier and a few hours later I realize how many days I could have eaten regular stuff from that. Plus I'm getting hungry again, what a waste. That's what I call the KFC cycle. You crave KFC, you buy KFC, the KFC is greasy and gross but you still eat it, you feel sick after and vow never to get it again, you wait any month and repeat the cycle. I find that to be the case with most fast food, but for some reason Taco Bell hits me the opposite. Anytime we're going to go to Taco Bell, I always feel like meh, whatever, I'm not really feeling it. But as soon as I start eating it, I'm in heaven. Post McDonald's clarity. Fast food makes for a better snack than a meal. A good rule is to avoid becoming full from fast food. The line between ghost costume and KKK member is pretty thin. It's funny how KKK hoods are shaped like dunce caps. It sums up the whole movement in a nutshell. Just imagine the scene. A large cross, a man up high preaching, everyone wearing white. They aren't racists, they're a bunch of Christians at a Halloween party. The only difference is the day you wear the ghost costume on. My wife sewed homemade robes for the Ren Fair. Hers was a pretty light gray, but the hood was just a little too pointy to wear up. Ghost costumes don't have the badges patches. My company raincoat was clear white, oversized, one size fits all, went down to the floor, and for some reason the hood was too tall so it literally went into a point at the top. The most remembered character in the movie Castaway has 0 film credits. Wilson the volleyball. https www.imdb.com. Name NM1012434, Ref TTFCFCCLT67 has an IMDb page. He is on the Castaway IMDb page. https www.imdb.com. Title TT01622222. Full credits, Ref TTCLSM but is uncredited. Near the end of the credits, just before the list of songs, it literally says the producers wish to thank the following for their assistance and among them is listed the Wilson Sporting Goods Company. Legit question. Movie-wise, does Wilson count as a character or a prop? It's fucking Wilson. I haven't cried so much when an unrecognized character died since Bambi's mom. Buckets man. Meanwhile in Phantom Menace, Jabba the Hutt is played by himself. The most remembered character in the movie Castaway has 0 film credits. Wilson the volleyball. https www.imdb.com. Name NM1012434, Ref TTFCFCCLT67 has an IMDb page. He is on the Castaway IMDb page. https www.imdb.com. Title TT01622222. Full credits, Ref TTCLSM but is uncredited. Near the end of the credits, just before the list of songs, it literally says the producers wish to thank the following for their assistance and among them is listed the Wilson Sporting Goods Company. Legit question. Movie-wise, does Wilson count as a character or a prop? It's fucking Wilson. I haven't cried so much when an unrecognized character died since Bambi's mom. Buckets man. Meanwhile in Phantom Menace, Jabba the Hutt is played by himself.
A line has 2 beginnings and 2 ends. It has 2 possible beginnings and ends, but once you pick a beginning, there's only one end. Technically, a line segment has 2 ends or beginnings if you will. A line is an infinite thing with no endings. By definition a line has no beginning or end. Not saying, just saying. I guess you meant a line segment. If you studied mathematics correctly. A line has no ends. But a line segment has 2 ends. Gonna use this excuse the next time I go to an amusement park. I see this as the start of the line, so I am not cutting into the line at all.
A lot of people have stung their eyes from opening them underwater after seeing people on TV do it flawlessly. Swimming instructor forced us to get in the pool, dive down, open eyes and look up at the instructor for at least 5 seconds. Apparently it was to practice survival skills. I open my eyes underwater in swimming pools and Lake Sea without any problem. Never knew this was an uncommon thing. Wait, what do you mean? Isn't this the normal way to be underwater so you at least have some idea what you're doing? Do people not do this? Is it actually possible to do this, or is it just me who can't? I used to be able to open my eyes underwater with no issue. No stinging. However, my eyesight led me to using contact lenses. I opened my eyes underwater and my contacts floated away. I missed the time when I could see properly. Despite the fact that millions of people die each day, the average person is highly unlikely to ever encounter a dead body. Millions of people die each day. 150,000, 175,000 people die a day. Maybe at your I assume tender age that seems true. I expect you will see at least one dead person before you are a dead person. 1 millions of people do not die every day too. You don't seem to be accounting for funerals, which is a very likely way of seeing a dead body. This may be true if you count only first and second world countries and don't count funerals. Otherwise most of average people have seen a dead body. I'd be somewhat concerned if you are a full-grown adult and never once seen a dead body. Your family are vampires? LOL. Over the last 50 years in the West this was true. We shall see if we can keep the streak of peace going as the troubles of this century continue to mount. It has to feel at least a little disappointing to be 11 on the FBI's most wanted list. Growing up with comics and supervillains, I've always been a little disappointed with the caliber of criminal on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Presumably the easiest way to move from 11 to 10 would be to remove one of the people above you. Well, you can either sit there and feel sorry for yourself, or you can get to work and put in the effort to get to the top 10. Comparison is the thief of joy. Top 0.01 of hardcore criminals. Be content. Did anyone watch the TV show Limitless? They used this premise to get 11 to snitch on 9 so that he would be bumped up. Yeah, it's tough for sure, but I'm working my way up, don't worry. It's easier to be a famous pilot than it is to be a good pilot. Who is a famous bad pilot? Realizing hitting a building on purpose isn't particularly easy. How many pilots can I name? Let's see. Sully, he was pretty good. The Wright brothers, the original. Chuck Yeager, think he held up okay. I can only name good pilots. Literally thousands if not millions of good pilots doing their job every day. I'm remembering that post on our interesting ass fuck of the guy who let his 2 children crash a plane. Amelia Earhart has entered the chat. Amelia Earhart has disappeared from the chat. Sully Sullenberger? Yeah, I met that guy, he's not that great. You know what a great pilot would have done? Not hit the birds. That's what I do every day, not hit birds. Where's my ticket to the Grammys? Jesse Pinkman had really nice hair, teeth and skin for a meth head. That's the one thing Vince Gilligan said he would change about the show. I'm guessing it's BC he was planned to die early on, and they didn't think about that, but it was too late when they did realize it. If in like season 3 he randomly had bad teeth, it would look weird. Think most of those problems are caused by impurities in the meth. So his healthy appearance is a nod to the quality of he and Walt's product. You folks should get better acquainted with Katya Zamolodkakova. The teeth in that recovering meth head of hers are some of the best in the business. Teeth, hair, and skin? Jesse Pinkman must have been a beautician. Did Jesse do meth or just make it? I don't remember him using on the show. Kids born in October are the result of a successful Valentine's Day date. If a pregnancy generally takes 9 months, wouldn't the successful Valentine's date result in November birthdays, not October? I was born in October and always figured it had more to do with cold, short January nights, but you could be right about that. More like a good New Year party unless they are premature births. I remember having the same thought a couple years ago. It's encouraging to know I wasn't the only one to make the mistake. What isn't so encouraging for you is that I am not a clever man, sorry, and I had to pull up my calendar to February then swipe 9 times to figure out I was wrong. Those conceived on Valentine's Day generally fall under the astrological sign of Scorpio, which makes even more sense when you think about it. It's November, that is 9 months after February. If one believes horoscopes, that is why Scorpio November is the most sexual sign. 'Cause we were made in the love month. Killing animals feels more evil than killing humans in video games, but in real life it's the other way around. The other day my 6-year-old spawned 1,000 donkeys in Minecraft and was systematically massacring them because he liked the noise. It depends on context. Most of the time in games when you kill people, they are usually trying to kill you first. I don't have experience killing people, so I'll have to go with your experience. We consider innocence and life when feeling this way. This is why killing a baby is worse than killing a man. The baby couldn't possibly have provoked the murder, couldn't possibly defend themselves, and never had a chance to live. Animals are similar. Some can provoke someone into self-defense and some can defend themselves. But most can't be characterized as malicious and most aren't expected to have the intelligence to even understand what is going on.
Large offices during the typewriter era must have been so fucking loud. Even during the early office computer era. Early computer keyboards were built like typewriter keyboards and were loud as hell. It wasn't out of ordinary to see folks in typist pool wear ear protection. And you could hear which floors had the typist pools. As you went up an elevator, you didn't need to stop on the floors to hear it either. They were. Go back and look at the Daily Planet scenes in 1978 Superman or 1980's 9 to 5. Loud as hell and accurate. People were just used to it then. Even small offices with only one or two were loud. I'm not sure the 1984 Model M keyboard was much of an improvement, but in an office building full of them, it was pure hell until your ears accustomed to it.
Life is asymmetrical. You need a lot of things to go right to stay alive and only a few things to go wrong to die. And yet, we typically last for a good 80 years or so. Considering all the things that can and do go wrong and what people endure, it shows we're pretty tough. You spend your whole life staying healthy and avoiding risks, but none of it matters when the big C comes for you. Nothing can prepare you for those huge ass crabs. Life is asymmetrical in a thermodynamic sense too. You consume usable energy to sustain yourself, converting it into unusable energy. That contributes to the overall entropy of the universe and accelerates our decline toward the heat death of the universe. But you need to look at the relative probability of each of those things happening. The relatively long lifespan shows staying alive is actually very likely. To pretend like we are yelling, we make our voices quieter. Especially when you're trying to have a quiet fight. https udo.becu5izvvcknq, T65. More of these posts please. Not this weird sex stuff people keep thinking of. Quieter than regular talking, to all the people not getting it. To pretend like we're doing anything, we do less of whatever that thing is. We also talk in a dumb voice when quoting someone we dislike to discredit them. Well, it wouldn't really be pretending if we made them louder, now would it? Sandra Bullock at the beginning of the Bird Box. She's a bass. Or like Star Trek TNG once said, speak softly. Those who cannot hear an angry shout, may strain to hear a whisper. A really great example is during the funeral fight in The Other Guys. Michael Keaton really quietly lays into them. And the crowd goes wild. High intensity whips are Underwear and socks come in resealable bags but cereal and potato chips don't. There's actually a reason for this, well, the socks part, anyways. The US-EU have tariffs in place on plastic packaging that is considered disposable, but there is no tax if the packaging is considered reusable. That's also why blankets and pillows come in zipper bags, and small items come in tins or other reclosable boxes. It's cheaper to make the more expensive and still likely to be thrown away packaging than to just pay the tax. I love when you try to open a small hole in the corner and end up tearing a vertical fissure halfway down the bag. One of the cheap, off-brand chips at a local store near where I live has resealable bags, but the zippers are terrible. I usually just cut them off and use a chip clip anyway. I eat all the chips on one go anyway, but the underwear I can only eat one pair at a time. We are all taught to walk calming out of a building during an emergency. Yet on every exit sign, that MF is running out the door. I remember seeing the running man sign in Europe and asking if it was, I gotta go, because it was frequently associated with water closets. Yep. You're right. Fuckers running full speed. https static.vecteasy.com system resources previews 002301 original fire exit emergency green sign free vector.jpg. That MF is also alone. The only reason you're told to walk calmly is to not cause a huge cluster by bumping into or trampling other people. If an emergency hits and you're by yourself and not a klutz, run like the MF. When a bomb or nuke is dropped, there's a specific radius where every frozen pizza is perfectly cooked. No, but no. The heat would not be there long enough to properly cook it? Come on, man. At least raise the bar more than an inch of the ground. Repeating the perfectly cooked distance thought for the 90th time this year? Except, you need a specific heat 350 to 450 depending on the brand for a specific amount of time, let's say 10 minutes. The energy source nuclear bomb isn't going to constantly give out heat. So, any place that can hold that temp for 10 minutes is going to start out so hot the pizza will burn. Any place that didn't burn the pizza will cool off too fast to cook it. Whenever a dog has its eyes closed, everyone just assumes it's sleeping. Whenever a human is sitting lying down and has their eyes closed, everyone just assumes they're sleeping. That's kinda the same thing with every animal and person, bro, not just dogs. Maybe people who never had dogs do. Sometimes they're just chilling out. You do know that people don't always assume things, right? Like dogs pretty much are the same as us sleeping. They just fall asleep faster sometimes. Nobody assumes when a dog is laying down that they're sleeping right away. Y'all people who post have the dumbest thoughts ever and they should kept to self. I know mine are because they sound like two damn diesel trucks rolling on the floor laughing. There's a very high chance that most of us will never use a physical copy of the dictionary for the rest of our lives ever again. Really? You don't use the thickest book in the house when you need to stack things a bit higher on a relatively stable base? I use the dictionary every once in a while, just not to look up definitions of words. We have a physical dictionary that we use for Scrabble. And if it's not in that dictionary, it's not a valid word for points. Even scarier, there's a good chance a majority of Redditors are so young they've never used a physical dictionary in the first place. I have this absolutely massive physical dictionary set I use every so often because it's interesting to flip to random pages and read up on definitions. It comes with a magnifying glass. No joke. I forced my kids to, then I gave up when I realized how much quicker it was typing it into the app.